Hello, and thank you for joining us for this session. We're really excited to take some time. Ooh, we're really excited to take some time to talk to all of you about our strategic plan. I know in the opening session that we had a little bit of a quick overview, but we're hoping in this session that we'll be able to engage with all of you around your hopes, your aspirations, your wishes, and how you can really be part of making this plan come alive. So a plan is only as good as all of the people who are behind it. And you all are champions in this work. You all are boots on the ground. We live here at the department. And while we try to get out to schools as much as we can, and this is, that's really where our heart is with our students and families and our educators, we recognize that we all need to be working together. So that's one theme that you will see throughout this presentation, and you'll also see within our plan, hopefully. But we'd like you to really be thinking about, as we go through this session, what is your role? We recognize that there are challenges that exist, some of which we can influence, some of which we cannot. But all of us play a very important role. Cary and I and Melissa, who I cannot leave out of this work, are two people sitting at the Department of Education with a lot of hopes, aspirations, and wishes, and maybe slightly crazy. We were going to dress in spacesuits for you, but we figured the music was enough for this session. We are really excited to share this with you, and once you go through the experience with us today, we hope that you will figure out within your sphere of influence what can you do. So we're going to have a lot of talk about that. We'll go over the components and how it was developed, and then some implications for your work. We are recording. All right, so the strategic plan in action. Yesterday, if you were with us, Dr. Jonathan Rosa spoke a little bit about our strategic plan. He pulled some pieces that were relevant, some pieces that really matched his message. Well, that was not really an accident. Dr. Jonathan Rosa's work helped influence this strategic plan and the development. So when we selected him as a speaker, we knew that we wanted to hear more. Our strategic plan steering committee actually used an article or that he was an author on called Rejecting Abysmal Thinking in the Language and Education of Racialized Bilinguals. So this was an article. It is fairly dense, but I encourage you to read it, just as Jonathan Rosa. He is definitely an academic, and we sometimes need to read or listen several times to his message, but he, in this article, really helped push the thinking that helped shape our plan. And he called out specific pieces, and we have to thank him for the message that he shared with us, not only in that keynote, but in his article, because it really helped our members and the folks that were helping us co-author this plan. It pushed our thinking and put us in a place where we knew we needed to lean into the assets of our learners and change our language. The plan does have some fairly strong language, and it is a stake in the ground from the Department of Education. We are going to give you a copy of the plan in just a moment. It is a stake in the ground from the Department of Education saying this is what we believe to be important and this is where we want to go. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in your role. Another article we use that's there that we will also drop and share with you is what does equity really mean for multilingual learners? This is a great article. This article is not nearly as dense as Dr. Jonathan Rosa's. It is a very practitioner-friendly article that can be shared with your colleagues, whether they are in the multilingual learner field specifically or they're just working with our students in classrooms. And it really talks about our students and where we're going and why that is so important for them. So to get us started this morning, I'd like us to begin by thinking about a better now. We all have hopes and dreams and aspirations, and we have our mission to multilingualism and our space theme this year, really pushing our thinking into the future. And the future is now. So we're going to start off with an introduction activity to get you thinking about that space. So I want you to take a moment to think about this idea. Let's imagine a better now. What would that look like for us and our multilingual learners? What is that perfect situation where everything is right and good in the world and we have all the resources that we need? What do we see? Take a moment silently by yourself to just process and think about that space. Maybe jot down a few notes, because in just a moment, we're going to switch into a space for you to share some of those. Hey, Melissa, I think we're ready to launch.
Wonderful. Take a moment. You can go to slido.com and use the code or take a little snap. Let's imagine a better now. What does that look like? What were some things that you included?
Better now, we would already love it. All students,
Wow.
a dedicated team at every grade level, complete integration for all learners. We'd really see equity and feel it. Now students be teaching us. I love that.
Look at this. These are visionary.
On par with countries in bilingualism. Coordination between our classroom teachers and our ML specialists. Allow creativity to shine.
Oh my God.
Cultures and removal of a privileged mindset.
Oh my gosh. Acceptance.
Being strategic and intentional. Not having students lose their L1 or their first language.
Wow.
Home language.
Community cultivation. Look at this. Oh,
Best is a lot of these things are going to be reflected in our sessions today. You're going to see a lot of these topics covered by our speakers.
wow.
I love that. Feel equity.
Mhm.
Actually feel it. We have lots of statements out there. We have groups, but how can we feel it? If we're not feeling it, it may not yet be there.
Oh, wow. Linguistic.
Expected, not just tolerated, a vision of equity.
Oh, I love that. Wow. So much genius in the room.
Absolutely. I love this.
Incredible.
Pulling in. So I'm going to give it a moment to make sure that we capture as many thoughts as possible.
Oh, everybody's a multilingual learner teacher. This is amazing.
All content teachers on board. I see.
Oh, wow.
Social emotional supports for students who've experienced trauma. Full investment of our administrators and grade level teachers.
Wow.
Our students being proud of their bicultural and language heritages. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the experience we had in speaking with students.
Wow, look at all your contributions. This is just incredible.
Community advocates and representatives in every school.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I want to invite my colleagues to participate instead of participating alone. These are very powerful statements. Thank you for articulating that. Wow.
That's fabulous. I see one more coming in. Let's wait. Oh, they're still coming. They're building off of each other's ideas. And that, I mean, that's the power of having all of us here together in this conference and over these 2 days. And hopefully you can keep that alive and thinking about how do we build off of each other and move the mission forward. Excellent. All right, Melissa, feel free to keep going into that Slido and adding more. We're capturing all of your thoughts in there, and we will share those out as well as we reflect on the conference and send information to everybody who's registered.
Awesome.
Cary?
So let's walk us through a little bit of what we're going to do in this session. I'm getting ready to hit.
Oh, you went on mute.
It helps when you unmute.
Right.
I just in for the strategic plan, and you'll also see the QR code on the screen. We are going to walk you through the strategic plan components today. I know Maria talked a little bit about the different things that are in our plan. We spoke a little bit about this yesterday in our session, but today you're going to get a deeper dive into understanding the planning process behind our strategic plan. Who was involved? What did that process look like? And what does the plan look like once it came to fruition? But just like Maria said, this work is not done. This is a plan for the future. So we're going to talk about our vision and our mission and our core values. What can we do as educators to really advance this plan and to bring this to full fruition? And we're also going to talk about our priorities. What are those 4 key priorities that we really want to focus in on over the next several years to bring all of those ideas out that you just talked about in that Slido? How can we really bring a better now for our students? So we're going to talk about all of those things. You have a link there to the plan. And
let's pause.
Oh, go ahead.
Let's just pause 1 second on that to make sure that everybody has that plan open, either on your phone if you're comfortable reading, a Padlet, or your computer. It's going to be very important for you as we move forward in this session to be able to reference certain components of the plan. So just give you a moment to make sure that you can get that up either on your computer or on a device.
While you're pulling that up, I think we mentioned this yesterday, but I'll just reiterate that that plan is also available in many languages. I think we have our top 8 languages available on that same website that you can see there posted in the chat. So if you want to share this with families in your school, we have that available in lots of different languages.
All right. Pretty good.
First, we're going to dive into talking about the planning process. Who was part of this strategic planning committee? Who went into working on our multilingual learner plan? And how did this really come to be to where we're at today, where we can share this amazing information with you and work towards creating that better now? So back in January of 2023, hard to believe that we're already in 24, we began with a multilingual learner strategic plan steering committee. That committee was made up of people all across the state in all 3 counties from all different districts and charters. We had educators who were working in the classroom as MLL specialists. We also had content area educators. We had administrators. We had constituents from our community. We also had IHE representatives, people from our institutes of higher education joining us to support us in this work. So that began in January. And sorry, there's something covering my screen. In the spring of 23, we started to engage that committee in discussions. We read a lot of research, some of the research that Maria dropped in the chat and talked about in that slide earlier. We read research, we engaged in these amazing discussions, and we really used that information to help us determine what our core values were going to be. What do we believe in the state of Delaware that we want to do to support our multilingual learners? What are our values? And one of the greatest things that we did in addition to this is we engaged our parents and our students in focus groups. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about this, but we got a chance to really go out into the community and to give parents a survey that really helped to drive this work forward. So we met with different parents across the state in all the counties and really worked to think about, what do parents want for their students? What do parents want from our schools? What are we doing well in our schools to support their learners? And what do they think we need to do to make improvements to continue supporting their multilingual learners? So meeting with parents really gave us a lot of great insight into what is it that our parents want from our students. What does when a student graduates from our school in Delaware, from a school in Delaware, what does that look like? How can they be successful beyond our classroom walls, out in life, right? Being successful in the world. What do parents want to see for their students? And that was really inspirational in collecting information from around the state. And parents got a chance to engage in that through surveys. We had some groups where parents actually came out in person, talked with educators, and got a chance to take the survey together. And we had an opportunity where the survey actually went out in a link also, where schools were able to push that out across the state, and many people were able to engage in that way. So lots of different parents contributing to this, in addition to student focus groups. And I know Maria and Melissa are going to jump in as well, but I have to tell you, this was probably one of the best parts for me about the whole process, was really getting a chance to go out and to listen to students, like from the mouths of our students, to hear what it is that they are experiencing in the classrooms, to see some of the things that they really enjoyed and the things that helped them to learn better, but then also to when they identified some of the things that were hindering their success. And so what can we really use from that student voice to help us drive not only our plan, but all of the things that we're going to do in the future to really support our multilingual learners? So that was really one of the most profound things for me, was definitely the student and the parent groups, and really getting a chance to hear from people in our community and hear from our multilingual learners themselves. What do they feel like we need to do as a state to really help them be successful, to be ready to be independent and strategic thinkers, ready for success when they leave our schools? Anything you want to add to that, Melissa or Maria?
I would just say that time spent with our students and families was really insightful. And as I think back to the Slido in the beginning and what we'd like to see for our students, those things came through. Not all of our students really recognize the wonderful assets that they bring to our school. And that the richness that their multilingualism brought. I think back to Dr. Rosa's keynote and thinking about how, our No Sabo kids, and I was one of them. So I absolutely understand that world, and that's something that we have really created within our society. So as we think forward, how can we make it so that our students recognize the beauty that they bring to our schools?
Agreed. And I think, Antoine, just to give a shout out to you, the comment in the chat, it was really important for Cary and Maria to hear from really diverse groups. So multilingual learner families, multilingual learner students, core and content teachers, administrators, really gaining a deeper understanding of of where people are in their understanding, so that the plan could reflect the language and the statements that they were gathering through that. And of course, a big shout out to Pete Lita at Insight Education, who really helped with this work as well. That's the only thing I had to add. And then, of course, last year's focus group with you.
Yeah, so sorry. So, and then as we did that, we also engaged in a focus group last year. If you were here in our conference, at the end of the conference, towards the end of the conference, Pete Lida, who I think is on the call, and we worked with to help us through this process, really brought educators together. And you all had an opportunity to provide feedback, give us information, share. And that was taken and built into the plan, brought back to the strategic plan steering committee, and embedded and baked. So hopefully you see your voice. We have all of that information captured, but your voices also really helped to shape the plan. And then finally in the summer, we were able to work on final drafting, getting it translated into multiple languages, getting it into the beautiful format that it is today. So really excited to have that, and then finally launched it at the end of last year, at the end of 2023, with a message from the Secretary of Education included in there as well. So again, a great way for us to put a stake in the ground about where our vision is and where we'd like to see the state of multilingual learner education here in Delaware.
And so now we're going to take just a few minutes to do some reflecting. We talked a little bit about the components of the plan, and we're going to go into those in a little bit more detail in just a few minutes. We're going to give you an opportunity to read the vision and the mission. We want you to think about what is the purpose of that? What in that vision and mission, what kind of resonates with you? What is the purpose of our vision and our mission? And we want you to use the chat to share some of those ideas, to make some connections. So as we advance to the next slide, you're going to get a chance to see both our vision and our mission of this strategic plan. And we want you to think about these things, do some reflecting, and then drop in the chat, what is the purpose of our vision and our mission? How does this resonate with you? Awesome. The ideas are starting to roll in. As soon as you're ready, you can start dropping some ideas in the chat. Loving the word thrive, asset-based, very asset-based, linguistically gifted, very student-centered, focusing on high quality education, right? Access to skillful teachers, skillful teaching and learning, language-friendly schools. I love it. Possibilities. Oh, they're coming so fast now. Advocating, empowering, equitable access, honoring cultures and multilingualism, empowering diverse voices, equity, including families, honoring cultural and linguistic assets, loving diverse voices, not just one language. We heard that yesterday in Dr. Jonathan Rosa's opening keynote. Multilingualism is maintaining your language while acquiring a new language. Fostering agency for students to thrive. I love it. We can see the future in this, right? I saw that come through. Diverse voices, celebrating all the things our students can do. Advocacy without fear. Empowering. I love that word, empowering. right? Thrive. Welcoming and integrating all families, right? Multicultural backgrounds, one school, one community. Absolutely. Equitable access to high quality education, fostering everyone's culture, language, and diverse needs. Woohoo!
Wow.
Amazing how a short paragraph can really inspire so many ideas.
Thank you, everyone. Great. Thank you. We're so fancy.
We're on our mission to multilingualism.
That's right.
Okay. So we are going to keep going. We just read our vision and our mission. And beyond that, we started to think about what our priorities are for our multilingual learner students, for our educators in Delaware who are teaching multilingual learner students. And when I say educators, we mean all, right? We all share the responsibility to support our multilingual learner students to success. So we're going to take a moment to read our 4 priorities, and we're going to ask you to be ready to share just any information about those priorities that really resonate with you. Thinking about that earlier conversation we had about a better now, what does this look like as we have this plan in place and we're thinking about the future? We're on this rocket ship together. We're thinking about our mission to multilingualism. As you're reading those 4 priorities, what do you envision as a better now? So give you a second to read those. We're going to ask you to interact with these on the next slide, but before we do, if you have your plan open, you might want to go to the priority areas. If not, you might want to take a quick little camera shot with the screen there of the priorities, because on the next slide, we're actually going to ask you to think about those priority areas and how they connect to our better now. So you're going to want to be able to reference those either in the strategic plan itself or just a screen grab real quick of those priorities. Give everyone a second to that. I'll go back up and grab the link to the strategic plan just one more time in case we need it. There we go. All right, Melissa, how about the next slide?
Fabulous. So think about for a moment everything you shared in that better now, that just all that positivity that you had around a better now and examples that you've been talking about and learning about. How do the 4 priorities connect to a better now? So start thinking about how things are coming together for you. You can take a screenshot of the QR code, or if you're more comfortable, of course, you can type in the slido.com and the code there. And we are making a connection to those priorities. Beautiful. Capacity of all educators, it keeps coming up. So we're putting a lot of things in buckets, right? Trends that we are noticing. Look at these connections that you're making. This is, if you're thinking about the purpose behind a question like this, right? We're moving into this meta-analysis right now. This is the kind of exercise we want to be pushing our own zone of proximal development, our own ways of thinking. Yes. Yep. Priority 1. These are groundbreaking ideas. Coherence, that whole child approach. Yep. All classroom teachers and assets. Right. Leveraging systems, more about systems coherence. What brilliant genius we have here. Equitable education. Rowing in the same direction. I love these coherence themes. It's so powerful to see this in your own words, right? And to see your own words reflected in the priorities. Yeah, that community piece is very big. Families, community coming together to improve. Wow. Right. Yes, agree. We really liked the way Dr. Rosa's message helped to push that mindset thinking. Where are some of those spots where we need to pay attention and like Maria said earlier on in the day, right? Where is our sphere of influence and how do we really enact within that? Somebody put in the chat on this session, right, around administrators. So there's implications all around, right? We all have this implicates us. This work implicates us. So seeing what you're contributing here is very, very powerful. These are great connections. Right. Very good. Wonderful. We'll keep this open and feel free to continue to share. We're going to, go ahead.
I'm going to get us thinking about another component of the plan. Within the plan, you'll see something called our core values. This is really, really important to the plan and what we believe here at the Department of Education. So as we worked to develop this plan with the steering committee and listening to the voices of our students and our educators, we knew we needed to, again, put that stake in the ground and say, what is it that is central to our beliefs? And these are the 4 things that bubbled up as our core values. These values then we intend and continue to use to transcend the work across all of our teams within the department and share the message that multilingualism is an asset, that we must collaborate among our partners. So we are all here together. We must be working together to achieve common objectives and address challenges that arise and foster those positive outcomes. That there's a diversity among our multilingual learners and their experience. When we think about our students, not only across the state, but within each classroom, each of them comes to us with a very unique experience prior to joining our school and experience while they are in our schools. And we need to embrace that and think about how we leverage the wonderful things and assets that they bring with them into those spaces. And then we also recognize and value that we need to be responsive to the shifting cultural landscape, that things are going to change over time. The research is going to continue to evolve. If you're following research in this field right now, it is coming out very quickly and we are learning a lot. And we know that we're going to need to respond over time to that research and to what's happening and how our state continues to change. And so we need to live within that dynamic in learning new communities that are coming into our state and growing and better understanding those communities so that we serve, so that we are doing that in a responsive way and really honoring our students and families. So those are the 4 values. I didn't read all of the language in there, but we are going to ask you in just a moment to dig in a bit more deeply with each of these 4 values. So Melissa is going to give us an explanation of what that looks like.
Wonderful. So you're going to get a chance to talk with colleagues about this. A big part of the conference is being able to talk to one another. So this is going to be an activity where you're going to be placed in a room. If you're in rooms 1 through 10, you're going to be discussing multilingualism as an asset, and there's some text there aligned to that. This can also, of course, be found in your strategic plan under core values. If you're 20, you're going to be looking at collaboration among partners. If you're in rooms 21 through 30, diversity among multilingual learners and their experiences. And then if you are in rooms 31 through 40, responsiveness to the shifting landscape, right? So you have a little bit of text there to look at that. We'll do a push out notification if you get confused, but if you want to take a screenshot of this screen right here, so you know you can situate yourself when you get into your breakout room. You might just take a moment to introduce yourself, read the statement, have somebody read it aloud, right? Have somebody read what that core value is aloud. And then you're going to be talking eventually after this, you're going to be asked, we'll be doing a word cloud, but what's your takeaway from reading this core value? And if you're in rooms 1 through 10, you're going to be looking at that first core value, multilingualism as an asset. And what would somebody need to know, right? You want to capture what would a colleague need to know about this core value. So 1 through 10, you're going to be looking at the first one, 11 through 20, collaboration, 21 through 30, you're going to be looking at diversity, and 31 through 40, you're going to be looking at shifting landscape. All right, so we're just about to open the rooms. We'll give you some time to talk to one another. Network, introduce yourselves, have somebody read it aloud, and capture your thoughts. We'll come back and enter into a word cloud. Thank you, Cary. Okay, that's fine, Jessica. Very good. All right, here we go. You're doing such a great job, everyone. Appreciate you so much.
I'm just scanning the groups to make sure that there's folks in all of them.
Okay, and then remember Jess said that they're on 1, so I'll go into room 1.
Great, Amanda.
And get her in.
All right, I'm gonna bounce.
It looks like Glenda might be having a hard time getting in. I don't know. Kind of what was happening with Diane earlier. It looked like she was joining and getting stuck somewhere. Probably,
Out in the chat. So if you were in group 16, look at this. Look at this word cloud. Oh my gosh. Collaboration, being hopeful. Oh, collaboration is central to this, right? Wow, you're just brilliant thinkers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. Wonderful. Yes, you do matter. Assets, adaptation, collaboration is, man, that is really, that's okay. Yeah. Great. Oh, beautiful. You can keep adding to that all of these beautiful word clouds that you're creating, both from yesterday and today. We'll have in a summary slide. So thank you for participating. And then this one's a little bit more. It's going to bring us right to the end of the session. But you read one core value. What do people need to know about your core value? And you can even say, I read 1, I read 2, I read 3, I read 4, but what do people need to know? A word or a phrase that helps people understand. Flexibility is huge, right? It really undergirds all of this work. And agility, I love the I matter. That is very cool. Collaboration is not optional. We have to learn how to work together better, right? And multilingual learners are the future.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. It is a proud moment. It is.
Partners together. We have to move together.
Wow. So powerful.
No role, including our students, is left without a voice in this. So making sure that in whatever role or position you hold, you are part of continuing to advance the plan and the vision and the work that we know is so important for our students and families is essential. One of the pieces I really loved from Rosa's presentation yesterday, it's hard to pick out just one, but one thing that stood out when the students were part of making that school a better place. And they took down the sign. That was the first thing that they chose to do, right? We give our students a voice to share their experiences and how they feel. We give our families a voice to do so. That's another way that we can continue to move and advance and improve the daily experiences of our students and families. And you all play a critical role in doing so.
Wow, this is great. You can continue to add that as we take you to the end of this session, Maria.
So as we've taken time to think about the process, we've shared with you where we are, and we hope that you all are ready to be part of moving this all forward. So we think back to the beginning, we talked about a better now, and I want you to think about how you can be part of that better now. What's a commitment that you can make today that will advance the experience for our students and our families here in Delaware? One thing that when you walk away from here, you're committed to doing, whether that's talking to a colleague, starting a group, the opportunities and choices are endless, a move that you're going to make in your classroom, whatever that looks like, I want you to take a moment, think about that commitment, make it to yourself, and then we have a place for you to capture that commitment because it will be extremely powerful for us to have all of these united commitments across the state in one spot where we can look back on it, not only to inspire us when we have a rough day, but to know that all of you are champions in this work, and we know the types of things that will be going on to continue to make improvements.
I love that. And I love, you can add those thoughts here. I really loved the way that Dr. Rosa framed that plan into action is where we are right now. So thank you, Maria. And that's for always being inspiring, both of you. And a goal is just a wish until you write it down. So give yourselves a commitment here. Great job using the interactive tools, everyone, and great job in the breakout rooms as well. Hearing your conversations with colleagues is very valuable. Yes. Ooh. A little leveraging of technology here. Very nice.
We reach a lot of people in this conference, but we don't reach everybody. So being part of spreading the word is extremely important.
Wow, these are really powerful. Wonderful. Yes.
Prioritizing, scheduling, working with your admin, getting on the calendar to engage and have these conversations, advocating. We heard in the Secretary's address this year, opportunity funds will be up to $63 million across the state, thinking about how those funds can be strategically and intentionally put to use to support your learners and continue to move the mission forward. If you are in a position to be able to influence that, I urge you to consider how those funds can be used in that manner, or engage in a conversation around how they might be.
PLCs. Yep. PLCs with all of your colleagues, right? Imagine a powerful implementation centering your multilingual learners. This is really incredible. Wow. Again, such great engagement. Over 50% are contributing to these interactive polls and word clouds. It's just amazing.
So continue to put information in there and your commitment. We'd love to see them. Go back, look at your colleagues' responses as well. Get inspired. We hope that you are inspired by not only this conference and the plan, but the work that you do and your students. So please continue to do the good work, be a champion, spread the word to your colleagues. Think about how you can become engaged in continuing to promote building that shared awareness, collaborating with partners, whether that be within your school or even in the broader community, and to engage folks in discussions around how they feel they can improve the educational experience of their multilingual learners and families. Work to engage all educators in professional learning that is focused on supporting our multilingual learners. The more we can educate the field, the more progress we will continue to make. If you're in a position to do so, whether that's on a small scale or large scale, review your policies and programs and how they do or don't promote multilingualism and honor our students. And review resource allocation. How are the resources that you do have allocated to specifically support your multilingual students and families? So we thank you for your time today and your journey with us on this mission, because the future is now. We no longer can wait. Our students can't wait, and you are a really critical part in making it happen. So thank you for what you do and all of the efforts that you've made and the commitments you've made to bring this forward. And it wouldn't be fun unless we
Welcome, welcome. Very good. All right. Let's see. I'm going to pause this.